How to stop anxiety with counting meditation. Welcome to Getting Better Daily. Counting breaths may not be the way to quell your monkey mind. Gamifying my counting works better for me. Breathing or counting meditations are usually the starting point for any beginner. When meditation works well, you barely need to breathe. I have realized that as long as you are breathing, no matter how slowly, it doesn't feel like you are holding your breath. If your mind starts to wander to other topics, the advice is usually to bring your attention back to your breathing. Counting the exhale up to 7 or whatever number you choose and starting again when you get there. When you search for counting meditations, most advise you to count your breath. Some websites advise you to count without it being related to your breath. In that example, the goal is still set at 100, and once you reach that goal, you presumably reset to 0 again. When I count, I don't set a target. I count as high as I can with some rules, and I try to beat my high score. Why would meditation need a high score? Dopamine is the neurotransmitter in the brain that is released to reward us for completing a task. If you are playing a video game, you might get a dopamine response from completing a level that you are stuck on for a long time or beating your high score. One of the reasons I try to beat my high score in meditation is that there's evidence that video game addicts have a reduced dopamine response, possibly due to sensitization. We all know that screen time can have adverse physiological effects, including poor regulation of stress. A video game rewards you for spending time playing it, which means the more you play it, the more dopamine you get. There's nothing inherently bad about wanting to reward yourself for difficult mental tasks. But unless you are going to be a famous esport player, improving your skills at playing a video game isn't the most productive way you should be spending your time. However, since meditation can make you better at regulating your emotions and reduce stress, this is the kind of behavior that you want to be rewarded for. Like a video game high score, the most satisfying reward is improving your skill. The majority of dopamine neurons in the cerebral cortex are in the frontal lobe. This is the part of the brain that plans for the future, which is often a source of stress and anxiety in our lives. When instructed to count my exhaltions, my mind often finds a way to worry about the future and to try to solve the problems in my life. What if something bad happens? How will I adapt to that hypothetical situation? If you think about it, trying to determine the correct course of action for your future is a lot like mental arithmetic. Thinking about the future involves a lot of probability, where we are trying to calculate the likelihood of different outcomes based on what we know. If we have insufficient data about what might happen, or if there are too many variables to process, our brains are likely to become stressed because we are asking them to solve an unsolvable equation. Not only do we want the answer to what the likely outcome will be, but we also think that we have no choice but to prepare for the future. It's a task that we demand we complete, no matter how impossible it is. The frontal lobe is also responsible for short-term memory tasks and attention, and this sounds a lot like mental arithmetic too. The angular and middle temporary grid are responsible for mental addictions, and these areas are in the frontal parental network. In other words, the same parts of the brain that we use to plan for the future and focus our attention are the parts that we can distract from our problems by setting them a mental arithmetic task. This is why I believe that counting on a constant basis without having a target in mind has a better effect on quieting the monkey mind that is always moving from one thing to the next. How to do it? Sit upright. Don't worry if you have never done meditation before, although there's a traditional idea of sitting cross-legged on the floor. Sitting in a chair is fine. It's important that you are sitting upright, as you don't want to be sleepy. The purpose of meditation is to focus your attention away from your problems, and sitting makes it easier to focus. It helps to be in a quiet room free of distractions. But if you can't, find somewhere you will still get some of the benefits of meditation. Choose a time limit. 20 minutes is a common length for the time for meditation practice. But if it seems like too much, you can set your own time. No matter what time you choose, you will need to set a timer on your phone or watch. Since you have no targets to count to, you will only know when to stop when the time is up. This also gives you a consistent window of time in which to improve your score. So keep this in mind if you decide to change it. You can listen to music if you want, as long as it isn't distracting. I usually listen to ambient music or noise cancelling headphones, and this helps to drown out any distractions and remind me of what I am doing. If you are not sure what music will help, I find Brian Eno's has a lot of helpful music for meditation. Any music that you usually find interesting and catchy is not good for meditation, because you can end up singing along to the melody in your head at the time when you should be focusing on the task at hand. Don't worry about your breathing. If you have recently had a panic attack, this can cause you to breathe extremely rapidly as your heart is racing and demanding more oxygenated blood. When this happens to me, forcing myself to breathe slowly does not always help to relieve these physical symptoms. However, when I start this meditation, my breathing slows down simply because I am not focused on the source of my anxiety anymore. Concentrating as much as I can on the numbers causes my breathing to regulate itself, as I do not have the time or energy to devote to that process. It's kind of like when a baby is crying, is distracted by someone showing them a toy. The bad feeling may not be all encompassing before, but now there's something new that needs our attention. There's no room in our brain for both worrying about the future and counting with intense concentration. Meditation is often a way that we can tell ourselves that something deserves our undivided attention, even if it seems meaningless. If we can convince ourselves of this, we can take control of our emotions and give ourselves a break from our worries. Start counting. Sometimes, when thinking in your head, your thoughts can become non-verbal. Although you can think a whole sentence and hear it in your head, sometimes you know basically what you are thinking and you don't have to pronounce every word in full. You can essentially mumble in your head or skip a whole word, knowing that since you are the one thinking it, you know what you are going to say. Only when talking to others is it necessary to try to pronounce every word correctly so that you will be understood. When doing this meditation, remember that the purpose is to use as much mental energy as you can. The more mental energy that a task requires, the less mental energy you have left over to focus on worrying about your life. This is a time where no one can point out that you are overpronouncing a word, so there's no reason to be self-conscious. If you can't hear every letter of a word, like 11, and you find yourself taking a shortcut like 11, slow down and count the number properly. If you forget one number you are up to, think back to the last number. You definitely remember counting. If you are up to 156 and forgot the 6, you can start again from 150 if you are certain you got that far. If you remember getting to 100 but nothing else, you can go from there. If you have absolutely no idea what the number was, you have no choice but to start again from the beginning. In my experience, numbers less than 100 are sometimes too easy. Most numbers in this range are 2 digits, and this doesn't require as much effort as 3 digits. It's worth starting at 1 initially though, to see how this range works for you. If you find that you have been skipping numbers, go back to the last number you remember, pronouncing it in its entirety. If you find that 3-digit numbers work better, you may want to start at 100. Count as fast as possible. It may seem counterintuitive that you should pronounce each number while also counting as fast as you can, but this combination is vital if you are going to beat your high score each time and increase the amount of concentration that is required. If you are focused on making each number fully realized in your mind, but you are also trying to count so fast that mistakes are a possibility, it is much harder to be distracted by other thoughts. You simply don't have time to think about everything you have to do today, or how you will cope with a stressful challenge that you have not yet figured out. It really doesn't matter what you are doing, as long as you are doing something complicated enough to give your mind a break from the stress of life. When your meditation timer ends, you should feel a lot better if you have a lot on your mind. Instead of frustrating yourself trying to complete a video game that has been designed to frustrate you, Try settling your mind to break the task of achieving relaxation in an unexpected way. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like this video and drop a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more awesome videos like this. Turn on the post notifications to get notified anytime we drop a new video. Keep getting better and have a nice day.